The UnPodcast is brought to you by Emma. Get more from your email marketing.
In a world where QR codes kill kittens and customer service is an oxymoron, one podcast has set out to make things right. This is the UnPodcast with your hosts, Scott Stratten and Allison Kramer.
Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Oh, look, my voice is lower.
Yeah, it's morning voice.
It is.
Do you think if you look, so we usually record like 3 or 4 episodes every time we come in the studio. If you always looked, an interesting piece of data would be to look at every 4th episode and see how like the energy level and the level of your voice changed the more you wake up.
The train wreck episode was a third of the day.
Do you know I had like 4 people come up to me at the conference we were at like this past week? We were at Emma's for Marketing United, and they came up to me and mentioned that episode. Like that's going to be your the thing that people remember.
That's my Mr. Holland's opus. Yeah, that's really my gift to the world. That's my life's work right there in that one episode.
I had people say that, and I had people come up to me after we did the live UnPodcast and be like, "Oh, now I understand what you have to deal with when you go into the studio." I'm like, what? Be nice, people.
I don't know what they're referring to.
Be nice.
I was calm, collected.
I believe
focused.
herding cats was one of the comments.
But you rarely
made.
hear the phrase herding cat. Just one. It's just one cat does.
I think by definition, herding is group activity. Just saying.
Not here.
You're the cat that I'm herding.
It's a singular cat. Speaking of herding cats, go to myemma.com/unpodcast
for all your cat
herding needs and email marketing wants, which we just returned. You'll be hearing this well after we're back, but was last week. We did Marketing United. Emma's
the third
episode in the trilogy of Marketing United. It was good. We had a great time.
Fantastic.
Nashville again, had some peg leg porker barbecue again. Took all of our contest winners out from Kellogg's and Iowa State, home of the Psychos.
Cyclones.
And of course so we see some pictures before we get there, and the Emma team got a gift delivery from the Kellogg's team.
Yeah, to say thank you for winning the contest.
So they sent them a bunch of Pringles and Cheez-Its. And if there was a zombie kind of apocalypse.
Okay. I like the beginning of this story.
And we had to go into our safe room.
Okay.
Which is right now under our house.
Yes.
We're building it for a year. It is only stocked with Cheez-Its and Pringles.
You are going to get scurvy.
Yeah, but no, because they have vegetable-flavored ones and fruit-flavored things. And so, I see this, and I'm like, why don't we have all and flavors I've never heard of? I've never even seen these flavors, because they come right out, Mr. Kellogg himself is like, there's a batch right there.
So you did what grown-ups do, and you were happy for them, and then moved on with your life.
And I commented on the photo, what the hell? Why didn't we get any of these? And our Kellogg's crew wrote to us, "Oh, don't worry, leave room in your suitcase."
Yeah, something's coming for you.
All right, it's coming. And so we get there, and we just get a sack of not Pringles and Cheez-Its, but every single flavor of Girl Guide cookies. It turns out Kellogg's makes them, and they listen to the show religiously and said they need to have the cookies. So we have every flavor sitting at home, ready for our taste test.
So Scott had to fly back home because I didn't take them. We flew back separately. I didn't take the cookies.
I had to declare at customs
all the flavors of Girl Guide cookies.
I had to check off the box. Yes, I've brought in dairy/meat/cheese product or something, and say, and the customs guy's like, what food or nut or whatever did you bring back? I'm like, Girl Guide cookies. He's like, just go.
What kind?
All of them. And the best part is they describe each flavor to us as we described them in the show.
Yeah, when we talked about Micro and the little girl who described them so brilliantly. So
that was great.
I wanted to do a taste test. I totally forgot.
We forgot to bring them.
Oh, well. You don't get to listen to us eat cookies. That's probably our gift to you for this episode. Maybe
we'll
next time.
We'll do it in a few episodes. Now, I want to do a quick Audible. I know we have content today, and some really fantastic content for the first time. But we needed to bring up this thing that we talked about yesterday, that we did, hot off the press, which will then, by the time this comes out, is not. And I hope you all enjoyed our emergency episode, by the way, with Dave Carroll from United Breaks Guitars. and how terrible we could poorly sound if we don't have professionals around us in real time. So, it found out yesterday a New York Times feature on Travis Kalanick, the Uber CEO, and all the stuff they do. And a couple of the things. One was bananas. There was a look into a meeting he had with Tim Cook, the head of Apple, and Tim had called him to his office to discuss something. It turns out that Uber, if you deleted the Uber app off your phone, it still tracked you. And tracked your movements. And so the meeting was either stop this or you're no longer in the store. So that was skeezy enough.
Yeah, that's pretty
in
bad.
a long historical line of skis.
It's right on brand.
My favorite part was the combination of you guys know Unroll Me? Have you heard of Unroll Me? You guys have heard of this? So it's with people with Gmail. So it's like it was all the rage 2 years ago, where if you used it, you gave it permission to go through your Gmail, and it gave you a list of every newsletter you're subscribed to. And if you wanted to get reduce inbox clutter,
without having to go through every single one,
it was like one click, and it would unsubscribe you from all the newsletters you didn't want to be part of. And
which
people were
seems
like,
cool.
Yeah, it's just like, it's like a savior thing. Well, the parent company of Unroll Me, the actual company, the actual real deal here is Unroll Me is free. And we've always said, and which our friend Justine Jordan reminded us yesterday on Facebook, was if you're not paying for the product, you are the product.
Yeah.
So they're selling something. So the parent company is a data company, a sleuthing data company. And what Uber was buying was Unroll Me has access to your inbox and Gmail, and they would
because you've given it access,
right?
Because you said I want to get rid of all my newsletters.
You didn't read the 55-page terms of service.
Yeah.
Uber would buy the data that Unroll Me would scrape your email and look for any Lyft receipts. Okay, from the ride-sharing company Lyft, take your receipts and forward them to Uber.
So they would have all the data on when, where, how much, how often you were using Lyft, so that they could use that to obviously get an upper hand.
In an aggregate form. Your name wasn't sent. Your email wasn't sent. It was just simply saying, male this age in San Bernardino used Lyft this many times. You need to target this area.
Which is super skeezy.
It's just, and part of, see that there's people who are in the know, like in SEO or in tech and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, that's like Google knows 1,000 times more than that.
But I didn't know. Like when you told me the story, you started off the story. You told me about what the app did in removing email. I was like, that's awesome. Like I wish I could have that, because I always see them and I'm in a hurry, so I just ignore them. But I wish I could just unsubscribe. And so I was all over that. I didn't even think about it. I wanted to ask you. So like, I'm curious. Do you think any of our 7 listeners are lawyers who would know about this? But so the terms of service and how long they are and how we've become sort of desensitized to it. It's common knowledge that people don't read it. You scroll through it as quickly as you can. You press read. That it should be that they have to provide you like an actual, like 5 things or something like, what's my data going to be used for? What's this going to be used for? In like speak that a person can understand, not in jargon, so that people actually know before they can download the app, before they can do these things, they actually know what they're signing on for, because I think most people don't know. Well,
the founder of Unroll Me had to make a statement yesterday.
Yeah, I bet he did. A couple statements probably.
And he said that the best paragraph from it, the best line is, our users are the heart of our company and service. So it was heartbreaking to see that some of our users were upset to learn about how we monetize our free service.
But it needs to be to be right front and center. It needs to be as front and center as like when we talk about rules about making sure your Instagram ad is clearly like it's stated that it's an ad. It has to be in the picture and all this.
What kind of backhanded is that, though? We are upset that some of our users were upset how we sell because it's a free service. But what it's saying is, what are you, an idiot?
Yeah, it's very condescending.
Obviously, this is what we do. It's very passive aggressive. And this is their statement. And I'm like, what? And this was buried at the bottom of the New York Times, the whole profile.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of news going on.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they had other things to talk about.
Another feather in their cap
Yeah, it was almost another emergency on podcast. That's how upset about it he was. It's going to be a lot of emergency on podcasts if you people keep messing up this way. So I have a story here from the Star.com, which is our Toronto newspaper. And
6.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And I want to talk about it from a branding perspective, like not necessarily a human perspective, but as a brand. So a restaurant, it says the final straw was a little girl using an iPad with the volume on high, a device her parents refused to turn down despite repeated requests from the staff at Caruso's, an upscale Italian restaurant in Mooresville, North Carolina. The restaurant's manager had encountered, it said, many unruly kids in this restaurant before. You should try coming to our house. And they said that they were getting a lot of complaints. Parents weren't listening, no changes, blah, blah, blah. And so they decided to ban kids from the restaurant. So
Get out.
It says it says basically 18 and older. A restaurant for 18 and older, no kids, no strollers, just adults enjoying sushi and sake in a lounge type setting. What do you think about this, Mr. Stratten?
Do they have any open reservations? What time can we eat there?
I think we should move to North Carolina.
The kids are old enough to fend for
awful.
themselves. I think there should be a place for adults, sure.
Yeah, well, there are places for adults. There are tons of places for adults.
Yeah, strip
bars.
clubs, yeah.
Scott, there's bars and there's all kinds of places.
So that's what this is. It's a bar that serves sushi.
They say it's like proper attire. No kids menu, proper attire. No kids allowed. From a branding perspective.
You know what? And this might be a case of same thing of you are polarizing who you want to polarize. You want to attract the business dinner, the couples and get-togethers of adults. Kids don't make you money. They don't.
There's huge companies that made money off of kids.
Kids don't make you dinner money.
I
Kids eat
think
free,
kids
$3.99,
make you dinner money.
kids menu, some nuggets. No, we need alcoholics that drink 8 bottles of wine.
Parents with loud kids.
Yeah, but get a sitter, because then you're going to unleash. You're going to have some sashimi, you're going to have some sake, and you're going to make some bad choices.
I actually think it's more a marketing thing than it is anywhere. I think the only reason to have like an official ban is as a marketing
That's what
ploy.
I mean. And he's going to polarize properly,
Absolutely.
where people are like, well, I'm not coming there if I can't bring my kids. He's like, exactly. Because now everybody knows, where do we want to bring the clients tonight? Well, they're not going to have kids there. Nice.
Are you taking your clients over dinner at 5? Like, I don't understand who these people are.
I'm not going to have a 5 to 6 kid hour and then 7 to...
Isn't that just naturally what happens?
No, I've seen kids
And I
there.
don't know if you don't make money off kids. I think they have those free kid dinners because they make money, because
They
they
make
bring
money
in
off
their
the parents.
adults.
Yeah. But,
Yeah, but not everyone can get a babysitter. Some people need to eat with their kids.
Yeah, well, then go to
Not at that restaurant.
Go to McDonald's. Yeah, I don't.
McDonald's.
Kids are that ruin everything. Wait, one of our kids is here. Hey, buddy.
He's old enough to eat in this restaurant.
Yeah.
You know what? They'd probably like a no old people restaurant. That's what they'd probably like.
Well, depending on what you define as old. My birthday was yesterday, by the way.
We're super old.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is 42 the new 70? Is that what it is? Because that's what I'm feeling right now.
Everyone else is getting the opposite, and we're getting the 40 is the new 70.
I do feel like dinner time at 4:30 now. Like I'm pretty early bird special at this point. But I've been like that since I was 30. It's like a 30-year-old in a 79-year-old person's body.
Yeah, I don't like the banning of kids, but you know what? I see it in like as a broader perspective, is that I don't like.
But is this?
I think people should have their kids with them. I think you should take your kids to restaurants and teach them how to eat in restaurants. And it seems to me this is like a couple isolated incidents of parents who maybe they needed to be banned.
Have you seen parents? Have you seen humans these days, and with their kids? When we were at dinner 2 nights ago, there's people with kids with 4 iPads at the table and squawking. They die in a video game. They're like, "Mama, I died."
But I'm weird. Like, I don't even think they should really have kids' meals. I don't understand why kids are eating garbage and adults are getting nice food. So I know like a hippie restaurant where everyone eats together and it's all healthy.
Because we will lose our home if they have to eat the same food at Nobu that we do.
Why are we taking them to Nobu?
Because of culture. If we can't give them education, we can give them culture. That's our goal.
They said one of the children that had been in this restaurant scratched the walls with a quarter, and it cost $1,500 in damage.
Okay, first off, that's poltergeist. Like, he's just like, kids are ripping walls, and what the hell's on the wall? What did he have? A chisel?
God, the restaurant started handing out cards with behavioral instructions.
That's better.
Like you have to get the instruction booklet when you walk in with a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know. Most of the adults I know are much worse behaved than our children. So that's what I think.
If I can say the line that the best line of the non-parent ever, control your kids.
Yeah, control them.
Right. Oh, yeah. All right, well, I'm going to...
Oh, he's going to sneeze. That's what he's going to do.
It's natural and authentic, this show.
Bless you.
I'm glad they don't ban children on this show. I would be out of a job. Let's talk about our favorite retailer. I think I just pulled a muscle. Sneezing.
Did you just hurt yourself? So if you were wondering whether you were old, you just hurt yourself sneezing.
I hurt 3 different body parts on that sneeze, too.
Oh, Scott. Do you want me to tell your story for you?
I got it. This is my favorite. I got it from.
All right.
From the Consumerist Radio Shack. The Shack, as they tried to call it.
It's the second time we've needed to talk about Radio Shack in the month, I think.
If they just kept it the name The Shack, it would have attracted the millennials. They would have bought their batteries there. So, can I have your zip code, please? Why do you need it to buy batteries? I don't know. So, Radio Shack, there's a Facebook page from Reynoldsburg, Ohio's Radio Shack.
How's business going for Radio Shack?
Shack 4831. So, they're shutting that one down.
Out of business.
This store was in the second wave of shutterings. There's still over 1,000 stores open, but this is the second
The shuttering sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah, it is. Well, so is the Shack. So they decided to post on their Facebook page at 12:02 a.m.
When all good decisions are made online.
Exactly. And it says, "We closed. F all of you."
They're done.
And it doesn't
it's
say,
over.
It doesn't say F, by the way.
By the way, this is also one of those cases where Scott almost needed to have an emergency recording of the podcast because he was crying, laughing,
hemorrhaging.
He was so hysterical. He thought they were so hysterically funny that they'd go to business and then just be like, screw everybody.
If that wasn't enough, he decided to just tee it up one more time 11 hours later and said, "Always hated all you," and then the P word, which is like a cat. "Always hated all you P customers anyway." Damn!
I don't think Radio Shack's going to be coming back. I think it's done.
Man. They are guilty of assault and battery.
Shack attack.
Oh, assault and battery. Well done, Mr. Stratton.
That was a Shack attack.
Do you know why I think everybody loved, like a lot of people shared this and loved it, is because like, have you ever lost a job or walked away
or quit? You walk out with the 2-finger salutes up, boof. Yeah.
And you're just like, you hate them so much and you just wish you had a megaphone to scream how much you hated every customer you ever had to work with.
I quit once like that.
And like told somebody off?
Yeah, my manager.
Really?
Red Lobster. Yeah. Because I called in sick to work.
Sick. I'm making air quotes for those of you listening to the podcast.
No, I had busted my knee, right? I tore the ligament and stuff, and I'm like, I'm not busting tables. It just hurt. So I went in, and that night, our school musical was on, Leader of the Pack. It's just the leader of the... So I went and watched it.
Yeah.
And apparently they called the house. There's no cell phones then, right? This is back when there was one phone and operator patching you through. And
called the house to see where you were because you weren't at work.
And he's not home.
Yeah.
So I went into work, and one of the managers came up to me and said, "Hey, so you were sick yesterday?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, my knee was brutal." He's like, "Really? Because I called your home and you weren't home." And I'm like, "Yeah, I went to see the school musical. I sat there." I'm like, "If I call in sick, that means I have to be in bed." And he's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "All right, how about go?" And I just...
You told him off?
Yeah,
and that was it?
Screw you. I'm a busboy making
$4
bucks an hour. You could have
had an illustrious career at Red Lobster, and instead you were here with me.
Yeah.
Obviously, that didn't turn out the way it was supposed to.
$4 an hour, and I walked out of that riches. I could have caught the bus. It was less dramatic because I had to wait for the bus.
I really think...
It's like I was going to do the whole just boom and walk out of there and drive away. And I'm like, oh, damn, it's 25 minutes till the bus comes. I just stood at the corner where the restaurant was. And
indignant.
They're all looking at me through the window. I got my apron still with stuff with mints from the tables. So I'm like, I'm taking these with me. And some garlic bread. Right?
Yeah.
Take that.
I think Radio Shack has made a lot of people happy with this. And I think they probably made more people happy with this than they have in a very long time. So,
you know who makes me happy?
Who?
Emma.
Oh, I thought it was going to be me.
Emma and Allison. More for your email marketing. Ask Allison and use Emma. myemma.com/unpodcast for tips and tricks and all your email marketing needs. They will take care of you and they take care of us. Let's do this.
Yeah, you want to hear about this? This is not like, this episode is like as if someone else planned it and handed me the articles. I'm like, this episode's really back and forth a lot. I'm an idiot. I did this. So this article is from Inc.com, and it says, collaboration creates mediocrity, not excellence, according to science. And I love this article because it seems as though every time I go online, am I ever off? But go online, I'm reading some new article that says, you should work at home. Or people work well when they work remotely. People work well with a team. It's conflicting. Twitter is dead. Twitter is awesome. Concepts, like, you should do this. You should do that. And like sometimes the direct opposite, like within a day on the same magazine site. So it says, far from being a productive I don't know how to say that word. Far from being productive, collaborative culture will drive your top performers away, says science. And it says, if you listen to management...
Who's the spokesperson for science?
Science.
Bill Nye. Bill Nye, right? Okay.
Yeah. It says, if you listen to management pundits, collaboration is all the rage. While the term is a bit fuzzy, what's actually meant by collaboration is plenty of ad hoc meetings and 2 open plan offices that increase the likelihood that such meetings take place. So, but I mean, which is kind of bending what collaboration means. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're in an open space office bumping into each other.
Right.
And it says a recent study published in Applied Psychology has now confirmed, according to science, that a collaborative work environment can make top performers, the innovators and hard workers, feel miserable and socially isolated. So it says that in this situation, rather than seeing top performers as role models, mediocre employees tend to see them as threats. So, I mean, it's a very convoluted article, but they're basically saying, like, let's say you and I are collaborating on something, and I'm the top performer, obviously. Rather than making you want to up your game to try and keep up with me, you're going to get the look on your face you have right now. You're going to feel jealous and try and hold me back, and that's going to create a hostile work environment for me, like I'm feeling right now as you're giving me that face.
Sabotage things.
And you're going to sabotage things, and you're going to take over episodes, and you're going to pull my microphone away, like what you're trying to do right now, and then I won't be able to talk.
Yeah, now we're at my level. Sabotage. What
do you think about this, Mr. Stratten? You're a human resources expert.
I got sabotage in my head now. I'm
sorry. Well, herding cat.
Wait, I mixed up her mic. I'm sorry. So, the whole article is horse poop.
Scott, tell us what you really think.
The whole thing, because it's you know what I hate more than open offices? Well, offices in general.
Pants.
Is pants. Is the clickbait headlines. It's
totally.
The headline doesn't mean anything. It's you know what creates mediocre teams is mediocre people. That's according to science.
Science.
Yeah, that's that's what happens. I don't like open concept office, but I have a luxury of not working in an office or working at all.
Yeah.
So I don't have to deal with that. And then we posted this in the Unmarketing Facebook page, and we got a lot of feedback from people, and a lot of it was, we moved into an open office concept, and it was a 9th circle of hell. To, I've worked great with teams. People said, I'd like to interview the people on their teams, though, see if they thought the same way. Maybe they were the low achiever and just bring it down. But it's the people. You can put open office with 10 people and switch it to 10 different people, and you have a whole different result.
And wasn't cubicles supposed to be the circle of hell? Like, I don't think there's an ideal place because everybody's different. Everyone works differently.
The question is, does leadership allow you to be who you are, and do you have colleagues that will not be threatened by that?
Yeah.
Like, that's a big part of it, right? It's got to have some kind of... I don't believe in the free-for-alls. I don't believe that everybody's got the equal say. I think you need somebody to
lead.
Yeah, exactly. I think you need somebody to make the decision.
Probably someone to organize and like.
I think there's people who have strengths and weaknesses, and when we say we're all equal in that aspect, that hurts business. But the fact that collaboration and everything is collaboration.
Yeah.
The iPhone never comes out. People don't collaborate, but Steve Jobs had the final say. You need that. You're actually seeing that in their product development now, that there's different people running the different ships, and it's becoming blurred. And that's where you have that everything I think on this earth has been because of collaboration, one way or the other. Nothing is done in a singularity. Nothing is created on its own.
Yeah, I think they're kind of using collaboration like as a bit of.
And the problem is they're playing it because people love the word collaboration. It's a big buzzword.
Yeah.
So we're going to put this out there and say, no, it's the opposite.
But collaboration doesn't necessarily mean no one has their own space and we all work in this big crowded
And science
airplane
says none of that. Like, it's just not. Science. It's just like, come on. Bill Nye has never said any of that.
You know what I was thinking when I read this, and I don't know if anyone on Facebook said this, but like I was thinking, I remember being in school. That was probably my biggest, I've never really had much of a real job, but in school we had to do a lot of group projects. And like, I was never one to be upset when someone else was taking the lead on a project. Like I was like, give me my tasks, I'll get them done, I'm fine. Like, aren't most people like that? Like, are most people like really want to be the leader? Like most people are happy just to do what's put in front of them and get paid and go home.
Work is like school, but you get paid. You get stuck in bad groups, good groups.
Yeah.
But I look, I know team and teamwork and work teams and collaboration, because that's the word now, which is just teams, that you'll sometimes get somebody in the group who doesn't pull their own weight. You'll get somebody there who wants to play politics or backstab, or somebody who wants to take more credit than they gave. It's like handing the project in, and everybody gets an A, and the teacher asks you, but who did what work?
Yeah.
Right? That's the same thing. You work well with some teams, you don't work well with others. I didn't work well with others in school or
Still
at
don't
work.
really work well with others.
Well, this was a whole segue in saying until I met you, and you just ruined it. So
I think I proved the point, actually.
no, at all. No, but the thing was, like, for me, I'd never worked ahead of time. Right? I worked on, if it was a presentation, I wouldn't even work on it. I'd just go and do it.
Stuff.
Yeah. But that does not bode well for somebody of a different personality type that likes to plan and schedule. So that's the conflict. But this is humans.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not a new thing that's come out. It's how humans deal with it. Relationships, both at work and personal, you have to be not the same, you have to be compatible. So compatibility is something we don't look at, because if this was about making sure you make people compatible in teams, well, now we have to blame ourselves.
And put in a whole lot more work.
Right. So we don't want to do that, though. We want to be able to label something. We just want to
take the walls down and put something in the middle that people like to sit on.
Let's open the office up. We'll put some beanbag chairs and a ping pong table. Like, no, are the teams compatible? Are the people compatible? That strengths and weaknesses will play off each other. And they feel valued in that workplace, in that work setting, in that team.
That's what science says.
There. I just served you a whole dish of science. People. I'll take that. All right. Speaking of science, something has nothing to do with science. This is from the Daily Mail in the UK. This is the rise of Western backpackers begging to fund their trips in Asia.
I thought this was so funny.
Poverty, sickness, and pure survival. Just a few reasons why genuinely needy people beg on the streets for money. But as these images show, that you're not watching, but if you can see it if you're watching, the poor in Southeast Asia are increasingly being joined by wealthy Western backpackers who are begging simply to fund their trips. The trend has caused outrage among locals who say the tourists are taking money from the truly needy in order to finance lifestyle choices many consider a luxury. Western backpackers are increasingly taking begging on the streets of Southeast Asia to fund them. That's about it.
Yeah, I really want to know what our listeners think about this, because like I think that there is like a fuzzy line, or maybe it's not so fuzzy, but that we're seeing with crowdfunding, which is, I mean, it's not begging on the street, obviously, but with crowdfunding in general, with charity in general, in that like there was a story that came out recently about a mom in a fairly like well-off family, like a middle-class family, I guess, who was crowdfunding to take her kid to Disney. Mm-hmm. And like these aren't, like there's so many people in need in the world, and crowdfunding is fantastic for being able to, reach the masses and have people help in a little way, but a lot of people in a little way, and you're able to fund your project.
Yeah.
But that's not really what it's meant for.
Yeah.
For, people with money to be able to travel because they want to. But at the same time, it's also not against what it stands for in any way. Like, it's up to you. The person who hands over the money,
the crowd will decide,
is the person who makes that decision. And if I put up wanting to fund something and it gets funded, then that's the answer. The answer is people wanted to fund it.
The crowd will decide
what
it funds. Now I'm calling it Audible again right now. I found a made-up word in this article. Wayne, can we just cue that up?
Don't make any sense. Don't mean no offense. It brings laziness. What is all this craziness?
This week's made-up word on an Audible call that we took the other one out is because it's out of this actual article, and the word is begpackers.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think we know what it means.
We usually ask the whole crew what they think the word means, but you don't know. Begpackers. There's a term.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I mean, like, I went on a trip when I was in university, and we had like to help fund it. We had a keg party with our friends, and everyone paid a little bit of money, and we used it to fund our trip. And like, my concern is that like if they're taking away money that's actually would have gone, like if you're a person walking by on the street and you see these people, beg packers, and then you see someone who really needs your money, like to buy food because they're starving. I hope you give it to the person who really needs it. And the same online. I hope you give your money to worthy charities first, and then give your money to whoever you want because it's your money. But I that's all. I don't want to see it taking away money from people who need it.
I think it's gross.
You think it's gross?
Yeah, it's gross.
It's my mom. I once stayed in a hostel when I was traveling, and my mom got such a look on her face of disgust that her daughter was staying in a hostel. That's what I'm picturing as a parent now, seeing like if our kids went on a trip, like you have enough money to go on the trip, just save your money.
Yeah, one of the examples in the story was they were a couple appealed to it. One was David and Bash extreme budget backpackers take on Southeast Asia, seeks funding for David and partner Sebastian to enjoy outrageous adventure, eating bugs, cliff diving, scuba, and jungle trekking. They created it a couple days ago. They were asking for about $3,000, $1,000 for airfare, $850 for accommodation, and another $1,000 to spend. So far, they've received $20.
Good, and that's good. That's what they should receive. Get a job.
$20 more than they should have got.
Okay, I have a question of the week for you, Mr. Stratton. So it says,
why don't we have theme music for this?
I don't know. It's from Ben Pavey, and it says, so my question is about QR codes. I agree they are dead and ugly and not cool, but I want to know, which I don't know if was what we think, by the way, but okay, and uncool. But I want to know what you would suggest as an alternative. I have a client who is publishing a book and would like to direct readers to various pages on their website using links throughout the book. They immediately wanted to use QR codes, but is there something better that they could be using? I had thought of augmented reality apps like Flipper, something much cooler and interactive, but those apps are used more for campaigns, not something with a longer shelf life. For something like a mass-produced book that will be around for many years to come, we need to use something that isn't so dependent on a third party's success. And it says, so what are good alternatives? And I know exactly what you're going to say. Exactly.
Anything's better. If you put in each chapter of the book and said, call me. Call me and I'll read the website to you.
It'd be better than an augmented reality.
Phone me any 24 hours a day is better than that.
Just put the link. I don't understand.
But I understand if somebody's reading something on a Kindle or an ebook or something, just a full link, clicking on it is perfect. The problem is in print that doesn't transfer well. The links are too long. So there's two options. One is you have a link page and it's set at the start of the book. And then you number the links throughout so you give the full link in the book itself. So anybody who has the ebook, they can just click and go to it. But you say at the start of the book, anybody reading the paper version of this, go to unbrandingthebook.com/links. And there'll be a list of every chapter and every link in it. So it's easy to find and easy to go to. The other option is to make a short code, right? Like Bitly does it, but you can do a custom one. And it could be like, you're not going to get this one, but like books.com/1/2/3. Make it very easy to type in because otherwise they're just so long and ridiculous. They're not going to work.
I would say, okay, for me, there's two reasons to put links in your book. One, as a reference. So you've copied somebody, you're putting in quotes, you have to copy, you're citing somebody. And as a citation, I don't see a problem with a long link, personally, because it's unlikely that somebody's you're not giving them a reason in the book to go and check your sources unless you really want to check it, in which case it's right there, type it out, or Google whatever the search terms are, you can find it. The second reason to put a link in the book is because you want to continue on the conversation, in which case I assume you have a domain name, put links or do the link page like you suggested. In terms of that, in the citation case, you're linking to somebody else's work, but in the other kind of case, you're linking to your own work, in which case you have control over what the link would be. So you should be able to create something that's memorable, or the page, like you said. But
make sure it's, and the biggest part here is why I prefer the link page.
Yeah.
Is because sometimes links change and links die.
Yeah, absolutely.
They become so you have control over them.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing, especially Bitly. If you're not a pro member of Bitly, you can't change the short link where it directs to after the fact. So be careful with that. Good question, Ben.
Thank you. A really good question. Thank you, Ben.
All right, y'all.
That's all we have to talk about today. Maybe that picture is still up of the people begging. I'm like, I don't know.
It's okay. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
Can people send us money?
No.
I need a bag pack.
No, we don't need to bag back.
5 kids. For only $1,025 a day, you can help feed our kids. Please go to short code, go F yourself, which is fun to yourself, by the way, .me. Talk to you next week.
Bye, guys.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and visit theunpodcast.com. And remember, friends don't let friends use QR codes.